Hey everyone, I'm Hector and this is Faith and Fandom 180 on LTN Radio. So recently I've written a comic book, and a few weeks later I drew the storyboard outline for the comic book. And now it's in the hands of the illustrator who's going to make it look pretty and cool and stuff. But once I was officially done drawing the outline, the storyboard, I posted and shared with it on social media because I was pretty excited that actually happened. And so this past weekend I was at a Comic-Con, and some folks that had seen that post asked if they could see the storyboard. So I'm like, absolutely, I brought it with me for that exact purpose. And so the first time someone asked, I handed it to them. And I watched their faces as they just kind of flipped through the pages. And then I realized they were completely confused, but they were being super polite about it. So I said, you don't have a clue what that's like telling or showing, do you? And they're like, no, not at all. I was like, come sit down here at my booth and let me explain it to you. And when I did, they thought it was hilarious, and they identified with the story, and they thought it was a really great idea. And it made me realize that we do that with our faith very often. We just expect people to understand stuff that we think might be clear, but totally isn't. In Acts chapter 8, verses 30 and 31, there's this interaction where it says, so Philip ran up and heard the man reading Isaiah the prophet. Do you understand what you were reading? Philip asked. Verse 31 says, how can I, he said, unless someone guides me? And he invited Philip to come up and sit with him. And it's just a reminder that just because we're familiar with something and we are clear with it doesn't mean that everyone that's exposed to it will be. And we need to be willing to actually take the time to share, discuss, and explain the things that we are putting out there in the world. And that includes our faith. So if we're going to talk to the world about Jesus, we need to be willing to actually sit down and explain who he is and why we believe it and why he matters to us. Otherwise, it's just going to look as shapeless as my weird storyboard that I was like handing around a comic book with, no other explanation. So be clear and intentional with how you share what you share. Remember to catch Faith and Fandom 180 every Wednesday morning on the Back Row Morning Show only on LTN Radio. And if you'd like to learn more about Faith and Fandom, head over to faithandfandom.org, where you can learn about our Comic-Con ministry, podcasts, memes, apparel, and book series. You can even read new chapters before they make it to the next book. I'm Hector, and thank you for spending the last 180 seconds with me.